Hello, I'm Edward Thompson. Welcome to today's episode of Pictures on My Mind. Now, today's episode is a follow-up video, how to sell your zines part 2. Because, yeah, earlier this year, I put out a hardback book. It was called One in the Lone Star State. And it was work I'd wanted to publish myself for nearly 20 years. And then I had an idea, well, wait a minute, I've got loads of projects that I've shot. They might not be large scale enough for a proper hardback book, but you know what? I can totally put them in a zine. So yeah, I started making zines and I documented that process, which I put on this channel. It's like 22 steps of how to do it. But then I came to a bridge, and that bridge to cross was, how do you sell your zines? And yeah, I've been trying to do that. So I ended the last video with no shops taking my books, and I was going to make that my next mission, which is what I've been up to. So first of all, I started locally and went to a great independent bookshop called the Margate Bookshop. And they stock some of my books. And what's really nice, the woman who runs it, Francesca, she's also really into photography, takes a lot of photographs herself, and has a really nice kind of curated section of photo books where formerly I've had my hardback books, but I always noticed a little section for zines right at the front. And that's exactly what I did. I went along and I was like, hello, would you take my zines, please? And they were like, oh yes, please, we'll take your zines. And they put them in the front, which is amazing. The next trip I had to do was I had to go to London. London town, the big smoke. And I went up to London with a big bag of my zines, and I sort of stomped around, and I ended up at the photographer's gallery, where I met a really cool woman called Dilly. And Dilly actually runs the kind of zine section at the photographer's gallery.
It's nice and busy currently. Someone is actually browsing at the zine section. We love to see this. So some of the zines that we've got at the moment, we've got a great zine called Good Sport, which is about a local boxing ring in the north of England. I really love that. We've got this book by zine maker Marc Valee.
I know this one, yeah,
yes.
I had a look earlier.
90s archive. It's photographs that he shot when he was in art school in the 90s.
Yeah, it looks
sort
very
of
90s with that haircut.
Yeah, queer culture, really, really great.
Yeah.
It's self-portraiture. And they're really beautiful portraits, so it's the same person in
It's
every
very
image.
large format zine.
Yeah.
You think of zine and you think A5, but that's like is it A4 or is it bigger than A4?
It's big. It's definitely bigger than A4, I'd say. Just by a little bit.
Here's my offerings, not slight A4.
There you go.
So that was really cool, you know, they've got my zines there. And one thing to note about selling zines I didn't mention in the past video, in fact, selling any photo books, a lot of bookshops will have something called a consignment. And that's basically where they're taking your books or your zines and not paying you for them immediately. They're paying them on return of sale. So when they get sold, you will get a cut, okay? And for most places, that might be about 40%. Some places it might be more. And yeah, that's how it's going to work. So basically, they're kind of holding onto your zines and people are flicking through them. Now, that's a really important point. Someone told me a really good tip. Now, unlike photo books, where someone might flick through the photo book and then buy it, zines are a tricky one. Because look, man, you know, there's not many pages. Here's a tip. This is what I did. What you should do too. Get some little baggies. Now these are nice, these are recyclable little baggies I got. You might want to measure them a bit better, mine's a little bit snug. I have to sort of tape the bottom. Does anyone work out why I'm doing this yet? So here's the deal, right? You'd have this in the bookshop and it's sealed. And people are looking at it and they'll be like, ooh, oh, I like the cover. I am judging this zine by the cover. Oh, and interesting information on the back. What contains within? I must buy this zine. Whereas, if you don't have that, they look at it, they flick through it, and they might chuck it on the shelf. So yeah, as a little tactical marketing, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever hack it is, if you baggy up your zines, you might sell more of them, okay? Because again, you know, I'm selling these for £8. It's not much. And I think someone who looked at it and thought it was nice would want to have a little peek. I think that's well worth the £8, don't you? So there you go. So, yes, so bookshops. So I did the photographer's gallery, that went really well. Unfortunately, there was a bookshop I'd heard of that hadn't kind of got back to my messages in the past. I managed to track down where it was, and I walked all the way there with my heavy bags of zines, and I got there, and literally it's an empty shop. So you might want to do your research before you start dragging books all over the city near to you. It's got really difficult with Brexit now in the UK. So I've had, bookshops will take my hardback books, but that makes sense because they're selling them for 40 quid or more, okay? So they're cut, it's kind of worth their time. These little zines, you know, I'm selling them for 8 quid. They're cut, it's only a couple of quid. it's not really worth their time for all that hassle and import tax and blah, 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 blah. So if anyone's got an idea around how to ship them like around Europe and the world that would actually work, I'm all ears. I know there are some distributors, but again, I'm thinking they're more kind of into hardback books or big photo books, not little zines. So if you know anyone who kind of is into distributing zines, something I haven't heard of, please write in the comments, okay? Not only will I see it, but other people watching this video will see it too. And the same goes for shops, right? So I reached out to a couple of places I already knew, but I don't know lots of places that stock zines, okay? So if you know of any cool shops that stock zines, and this goes for worldwide, you know, other people are watching these videos in America, Australia, and Japan, all over the world. So, you know, write in the comments if, you know, in where you live, there's a place that stocks or sells zines, write it in the comments, you know, it might really help someone. You know, so bottom line, it hasn't been easy. You know, it is hard to sell the zines, but the thing is that they don't cost you a huge amount to print. In a previous video, I said it was about £100 to print 50 zines, so you're not massively out of pocket. And I think by now I've definitely covered the production costs of both the zines that I made, okay? And I'm ready to do another one. So I'll be printing the third one in the series. And at the moment, I think it's going to be about the Olympics and how when I lived really near the Olympic site in London 2012, it was kind of crap, but at least the amount of advertising and the commercialization of it, and that's kind of what I focused on. So you know what? I'm going to put that out. Why not? It doesn't matter. It's old work, but I think it's kind of fun. It's kind of witty, and it's also kind of a bit of a takedown of just how kind of the massively like consumerist society we live in, even when it comes to something like the Olympics. And also kind of tragically, you know, you think about the UK, that opening ceremony, all those people there, that sense of accomplishment of Britain, and then post-Brexit 2016, the state our country has descended into, it's tragic. It's truly tragic. So. Right, one thing that was really wacky that I did, at the end of my previous video on how to sell zines part 1, I held up some damaged zines that I'd got from the printers and said, look, I'm going to give these away anywhere all over the world, and that's exactly what I did. So a bunch of you lucky viewers, I sent out a free zine to you, and you know what happened that I didn't expect? You sent some zines to me. That's right, these amazing little zines. So this is Transgress by Forby. And yeah, it's a fabulous zine. It looks like 2¼ inch square, medium format. Really cool text, kind of really like diaristic, mysterious, really nice pairing, some cool diptychs here. It's a lovely little journey, and it's a lovely little zine, you know, funny little shot of holding a mushroom here. Yeah, wonderful. So yeah, it's a wonderful little zine, PUR bound or perfect bound, really nice. And then this little thing arrived in the post. This is from Dimitri Dryer, and it came with this cool little note. And it says, hey Edward, I just had to send a huge thank you your way. Your zine truly inspired me and I'm excited to share my own mini zine, Whispers of the Abandoned, with you. Your creative spirit ignited mine and I cannot thank you enough for that. Cheers, Dimitri. Well, thank you, Dimitri. And look at this. Isn't this cute? So again, it's one of these things where, you know, I've been talking about printing zines a lot, but this is a fun little folded zine, like a little, is it not quite a concertina, but it's a little folded zine and there's sort of illustrations and graffiti on the images. It's lovely. It's such a lovely thing. So again, thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Now, I was putting my feelers out for help trying to sell my zines, and a friend of mine, Lewis Bush, messaged me and said, hey, I know a place that will stock zines. Have a look at this. So let me just grab my laptop here. Yeah, it's called Defray Distro. They stock all kinds of stuff. This is the front page of the website. But look, there's a big writing at the top and it says, get stocked. I want to get stocked. So we scroll down and it says there are 2 ways, requirements. So it has to be photo-based. It says here, Defray is a photography distro. Please do not send in your poetry, art, or mixed media. Well, hey man, we're photographers. That's good for us. It says they're more into work to do with street, documentary, or photojournalism based. Again, that covers a lot of ground. That's great. And bonus points, it says, for if your work sells for under £10. Well, good news, man. I sell mine for £8. So yeah, and what they asked, or compile a set of screen grabs, photographs, or send along a PDF to defraydistro@gmail.com. Include your cover price and a brief explanation of the work. So this is amazing. So I'm going to do this right now. Typically they take 3 to 10 copies on sale of returns. So that's a bit like I mentioned before on consignment, is they're just taking them until they sell them, or they give the rest back to you at a certain point, and their commission is only 25%. 25%. It does say postage is covered at your expense, so that's, well, I'll think about that, how that'll work, but still, that's amazing at 25%. So yeah, so it's amazing. They list their email on the website. So yeah, I'm gonna send them an email right now, okay? So I'm sending the email right now. I'm going to write, Dear Defray, I have two zines that I would like you to stock. They are both documentary photography series. They are both documentary photography series? They are both documentary photography projects. Not really a project, it was a day. Man, this is difficult when you're being filmed, isn't it? They are both documentary photography zines. Good. One covers the elusive Bilderberg group. The other... This is so funny. Just for the record, I have a silly big keyboard I use because I wrecked my wrist typing like years and years ago. So yeah, it's actually quite hard to write on this low profile keyboard. That's my excuse. Here are some photographs. And then look, what I've got on my desktop, I've just made a little folder here. I'm going to just drag those two and put them there. Boff. Okay, so I've dropped some photographs in, just one shot there. I'm actually going to make that a little bit smaller. There we go. And there's a nice big cover, and I'll make that one a little bit smaller. There we go. They retail for £8 each and are a limited first edition of 100 copies. Cheers. So that's it. That's what I'm going to send them. And hopefully that's going to work. So there we go. Send. Whew. And yeah, there we go. So hopefully now they might stock some of my zines, which would be amazing. And yeah, if you've got a zine on photography, you might want to reach out to them too, because that sounds great. Again, if you can find out about any other stockists, for me in the UK is really handy, but just for anyone else, if you're in a different country, just write in the comments places that stock zines, because some other people who might be watching, they might be in the city you're in and not know where to sell their zines either. So hopefully through this process we can kind of help each other. But you know what, like, it's been a bit more tricky than I thought. It turns out, weirdly, it was easier to sell my hardback books. It might have been because they were bigger projects. I did more of kind of a press push, so that was sort of put out in the Guardian, British Journal of Photography. There was a lot more kind of publicity. But as I said, you know, they cost like 100 quid to print 50. I don't mind keeping the box for a little while. They're selling slow and steady. And yeah, it's just a nice thing to do, isn't it, to put your work out? And it's a cool way of putting your work out for not much money. So hopefully we can all be selling zines together. Thank you.